The biggest thing that I got out of this course was it explained a lot of concepts that I had thought about before, but explained them in new ways and in ways I hadn't approached them, which was the most beneficial thing I got out of this.
Thank you.
So for me, it was definitely eye-opening, and it allowed me to see the application.
Detailed and useful.
Reflection and growth.
Meaningful and valid.
Insightful and reassuring.
Introspective and potential.
Thorough, clear.
Informative and inspirational.
So it was very intriguing, and the information was definitely promising.
I think it was important and eye-opening. I definitely know that listening and empathy are my biggest issues, and I knew that even before coming into this. So just adding more knowledge into how I can better do that is definitely promising, and I definitely appreciate the follow-up that we have to practice this further.
I said neutral and unsure, and for me the best benefit was definitely getting to spend time with the people around.
Enlightening and useful.
I'd have to say this was bittersweet and advantageous. Bittersweet in the sense that it's a lot of information over a short course of time, and advantageous that it'll hopefully help us all grow to be better leaders and better people.
I think you broke down concepts really well and was a good reminder.
Okay, I think it was informative and interesting.
I feel that this course was full of practical and also important information.
My two words are understanding and curiosity.
My name is Tyler Deckes. I'm a student here at Colorado Mountain College. And I took this communications course with the hope that coming out of it, I would be able to get my point across more clearly and overall be better at communicating with other people. The biggest takeaways that I got from this course were the little tips and tricks, the little easy things that I can remember and don't have to dwell on too much that will come in handy in conversation.
So my name is Sean Cole. I'm a resident assistant at Colorado Mountain College. I've been going to school for 4 years now. And probably one of my biggest takeaways from this 3-day OCL class that I just took was a deeper understanding of conversation and listening to people. Because a lot of the things that we touched on in this class, I started to learn on my own, just through interactions, but it was nice to get like a thorough, actually going in and learning the processes more like analytically almost. And I plan on using this a lot as a resident assistant at the school, not only in incidences, but in community building with residents, my friends, staff, professors, and really everybody I interact with.
My name is Andrew Wax. I just finished the 3-day OCL course. Coming into the course, I didn't really know what to expect so much as, what it was all about. But as soon as the first day was starting to come to an end, I saw that it was going to be apparent that I was going to learn skills that I'll use further down the line in my career when communicating with, the general public and patients that I may treat. And I feel like if more people were to take this, things in life would be a little easier, but maybe not too much. But it'd probably be better if more people were able to communicate more thoroughly with each other.
So I just took the 3-day OCL course, and it was a really interesting experience. Coming into it, I felt like I was going to get a lot of rehashed information, which there was definitely stuff that I had learned in the past and stuff that I had already kind of known, but it was all presented in such a way that was very unique in the way it presented the different scenarios, like looking at change and looking at going through a box. That was really impactful. I think that for me, it's going to be a way that I try and now change my life to fit, especially the FBI statements. And that's just in general everyday conversation, and my compliments to other people, as well as the specific interactions I'm going to have as a resident assistant and the incidents that I'm going to have to confront. Overall, I think that I learned a new way to look at conversation that I'm excited to see how it changes my relationships with those around me after I use it.
So my name is Hannah Wilkinson. It is my second year at Colorado Mountain College, and I am a resident assistant. One thing you should also know about me is that I am a people pleaser, and I'm very people oriented. So the best thing that I took away from this class is that I was able to put a name to my actions and my behaviors and all of these things that I was doing that I didn't understand, or like why I was acting that way and behaving that way. And it was reassuring to me that I wasn't the only one behaving this way, and not that these behaviors were bad, just that I wasn't necessarily knew about them or could put a name to them, so that definitely helped me. This is going to help me in the future with my relationships because I'm now able to listen better and empathize with people, which has always been a problem for me. And also just being able to build better relationships with other people and allowing them to come to me and being that person that someone else can come to and bettering relationships. I think anyone can take something from this course because when people learn how to communicate effectively, it offers more of an open space for people to communicate also effectively. And so I'm definitely grateful that I got to take this course.
Hi there, I'm Ben Schmidt, student body president of Spring Valley and Glenwood campus. And just after completing OCL, I've really developed practical ways to implement the knowledge that I've not only learned through this course, but through other leadership and communication courses that I've taken in the past. I feel that I am now more prepared to go better my relationships, not only with my friends and coworkers, but with strangers and other students. This course has really provided a very practical way for me to implement these things through FBIs and showing in multiple different ways to use that method, whether it be conflict or even acknowledgments towards other students. I really find this to be something that is applicable in every situation, whether it be personal, relationships, or just hanging out with friends and strangers.
A big thank you to Bob and Cynthia from Colorado Mountain College.
I liked it overall. I think there's definitely some things that could be improved for our generation though. So just immediately thinking off the top of my head, the role plays on the third day, really cool, but not applicable for our generation. We talked about a spouse cheating on each other. We talked about two parents and dealing with children conflicts, and we talked about a parent dealing with a 15-year-old child, which isn't the most applicable thing for our generation.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me was that a lot of this information in this course was really fantastic, but being an RA for 3 years, I've covered a lot of it, and I feel like for the first day and the second day of the course, it didn't go much deeper than I've covered it before, but I felt like the third day started to turn it around when I was like practicing applying it, and we were having more open forum type discussions about it, and I would have liked to see those more consistently throughout the class.
I definitely think that having a big group helped with the group discussions and stuff, and everyone learns a different way. So I think in order for a lot of us knew each other and we all kind of lived together. So what would help most in order for us to be more vulnerable, because I think in our generation it's harder for us to open up to anyone, and in smaller situations it's easier for us to open up. So in order for us to get the most out of it, I think having the size of group that we did for group discussions, but also then doing partner stuff like we also did. But I would suggest adding smaller groups, like maybe 3 or 4, to then further allow people to be vulnerable and open up to more things that they maybe wouldn't in a big group discussion or just with a one-on-one partner.
My criticism is exactly the same. I think a healthier way to run the course would be a more diverse sizing of groups. So for a day, maybe we have a big one, for a day we have a medium one, for a day we have very small ones, or perhaps to continuously fluctuate throughout the days. Just more diversity, I think, would help people open up the most.
My criticism about the classroom would be to close the gap, literally, physically close the gap in the room. The way the room was laid out during the lectures was there's a probably 8-foot gap between the tables from across the room, so you're sitting there staring at the person across from you every time you look up, and it makes it kind of hard to have, like a heart-to-heart conversation, if you're like sitting a great distance from someone, and so it kind of adds a non-visible communication barrier, so that's all I have to say about that.
The layout of the class and the information is all important, and I feel that parts of the course started to almost run on, where we all like to get up and take breaks. Most of our classes are an hour and a half or less, and if they're longer than that, we get breaks about every hour, hour and a half. And so I feel like if we could break the information down into more sections to allow for more breaks more often, that would be more beneficial for our generation.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of research out there about just how long people can sustain attention, and once you start pushing like 3 hours, you're losing people left and right. So I definitely agree with the whole shorter breaks. I think that would be really, really beneficial to just keep engagement up, because once you lose engagement, you lose pretty much everything, because this course is so about engagement. It's so necessary for engagement.
I definitely agree. I also noticed that the breaks were, I thought, pretty long, like 30 minutes, 20 minutes seems pretty long. Like I only need like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to go to the bathroom, just like reset my brain, walk around a little bit. So I think having more smaller breaks would be more beneficial, and like a lunch break, and that way we're not taking away from the professor's time, and we're also not taking away from our time to learn.
I would also say one thing that I noticed was kind of not an issue, but something that we didn't really enjoy doing, the whole I am the message thing. I can understand why you want to get the group to say it as a group, but millennials don't like it when you tell them to do anything, especially not something like that. I mean, a lot of us have just gotten out of like high school where we do the Pledge of Allegiance every day and stuff like that, and having us repeat these things, while I can see them being powerful to like unite a group, didn't give off that vibe in our group. It gave off more of a, yeah, okay, sure. We were joking around and not really taking that seriously. Not because we didn't believe in it necessarily, but because that just didn't resonate with us.
I didn't mind it. I recognize that I am the message, and I think it took saying it a couple times for it to truly get to my head, for me to truly realize, right, the tone of my voice, my body language, what I'm actually saying, it all makes a impact on what the message actually is. And I think it helps knowing, recognizing that you are the message at all times so you can get your point across clearer. Repeating it, I think, did unite the group, and it wasn't that big of an inconvenience. And I think it's very important for people to keep on their mind that they are the message.
And I think that's beautiful too. Like, that just shows you that we are all different, you know, and like, I think that it definitely takes steps to make the course more like applicable to our generation, but at the end of the day, like, we're different people, we have different opinions, and it's going to be impossible to please everyone. So, I mean, I think it's a great course overall.
This is an idea I just thought of, and I kind of want your guys' input. So I think sometimes when when the professors were telling their story, they weren't exactly relatable. Sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't because of the age gap. So I think if you were to do this again with a generation similar to ours, having like a student ambassador or a student like, I don't know, advisor to share their stories, and also just like be a counselor to like talk more on like our level, without like me knowing Sean or me knowing everyone else, where like I'm gonna see him every day. Maybe that would like help. I don't know if you guys think
Like a trainee kind of person?
Right, yeah.
The liaison.
Yeah.
Someone that can just relate more and like tell their stories in specific situations, or just like kind of be on the sidelines.
I can do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it doesn't even have to be somebody from the same school. It would almost be better, I think, if it was somebody from a different school, because then it allows for that connection and another bridge across campuses, across schools. You get those different ideas from our small little tight-knit community, and you get to see that other schools have the same problems, and that we can use these same strategies to really unite over and to really build up our communities that we live in, even though they're very different.
Having more perspectives can never be a bad thing. They only help us learn more, which is why I think the big group really helped as well, because even though for some people we said the same thing over and over and over, for different people, different things need to be said for it to get through to their head. So a student leader or even a third leader, more perspectives, in my opinion, are always welcome.
Thank you guys. That's awesome.
Amazing.